Hey, if you live in New York City, please don't move to Tennessee. Tennessee is full. Don't be coming here, and I'm serious, and let's explain why. Welcome to Goose Pond Hideout, and I'm Rob, and it's all about life is short, so find your freedom. Just don't be finding it in Tennessee. So what am I talking about? Why am I joking here? Well, obviously, there's a lot of talk about what's been going on in New York City, and I don't need to talk about the details about that, right? And so a lot of people are saying, hey, 1 million people are going to move out of New York City. I'll believe that when I see it, but I'm sure some people will move. And, back like when Trump wins, everybody says we're moving out of the country, and a few people did, but most of the time it's just talk. So it'll be interesting to see how many people actually exit New York City. But again, I'm sure there'll be a few. But the thing is when you move from one place to another, you tend to bring your values with you because you're the same person. You're just living in point A, and then you move to point B, but you're still you. And your values and your behaviors and all those things, come with you. And, we can just look at history around the country. I mean, look what's happened to Colorado. Colorado used to be a reasonably conservative place, and, they've gone off the deep end liberal-wise. And up in New England, New Hampshire, I mean, the motto of New Hampshire is live free or die. And basically, the southern third of the state, the Massachusetts, New Hampshire sits on Massachusetts, but about a third of the state now, maybe even a little more, is basically northern Massachusetts, because all those people migrated, up into New Hampshire. Same thing being said with Maine. Maine's gone pretty liberal now. And, I mean, you used to have to be, LL Bean type with your red plaid shirts and that, living up there in the wilderness. And with our modern conveniences and that, people have, migrated up there now. And that's just the way that it is. And look at California. The number of people exiting California because, it's a beautiful state, right? And that used to be the place that everybody wanted to go live. And they've just gone off the deep end out there with their radical behaviors. I'm going to trying to keep this family-friendly station here. And so, the number of people exit in California has been substantial. And I actually looked it up just before I came outside here to chat with you. And it's even on you call it Snoops, I guess, the website, which is pretty liberal, right? And they have it documented right in there that a few years ago, they actually ran out of U-Haul trucks in the state of California because so many people were packing up and leaving that they literally ran out of trucks in California. And you can go check that if you want. But, Florida, look at Florida. That's always been the place to retire. The snowbirds from up north visit in Florida in the wintertime, and then when they retire, you move down there permanently. And Florida's a fairly inexpensive place to live, and property taxes are low, and no income tax, and land values, fair, and it's warm, so you don't have to heat your house. You don't got to worry about slipping on the ice and shoveling snow and stuff like that. And people, it's gotten so expensive now in Florida that people are actually exiting Florida. Now, Florida's still a bargain for you people that live up in New York City and that. If you leave New York City, move to Florida, because that's still a bargain. But the natives and the people that have been in Florida for a long time, they're actually being forced out because the cost of living is getting so high. And that's why I'm joking about, Tennessee is full, don't move to Tennessee, because we're seeing the same thing in Tennessee, that the land values and that are just going sky high. We moved to our homestead here in 2014, and I'll go ahead and share a little bit with you. I'm going to use real round numbers. I don't want to use exact information, so I'll use approximations. But when we bought our property in February of 2014, the landowner was asking, again, it's been, 11 years ago or so, almost 12 years ago now. But he was asking somewhere around $79,000, $80,000 for the property. And I was pretty certain that they really needed to sell it, and it had been for sale for a while. And the house, they were basically using it, like a vacation, like a camp, come here for hunting, and the kids would come here to party and that all kind of thing. And we're out in the middle of no man's land back in 2014. And so it had no heat. The roof had a big hole in it. The squirrels were getting up into the attic of the house, and things were, it was in rough shape. So I knew, the number of people that would be willing to buy it would be pretty slim. So I made them a really ridiculous lowball offer. I said, we'll pay cash, we'll close, next week or as soon as we can. Quick claim and deed, just do a check to make sure everything's clean, and that, what do they call it, title insurance or whatever. And the guy accepted the offer. So we actually got the place literally under less than $50,000. And I was like shocked. But so anyway, so that we got a bargain. And remember, again, in 2014, when we moved here, no television, no internet, no cell phone service. We used to, drive down the road to use our cell phones. We got direct TV, satellite TV, and we got satellite internet. And of course, over the years, things have changed, and our road is busier now. Every once in a while, you'll hear a car go by, which we used to have literally nobody. And we do have cell service now. We can actually sit in the house and talk on our cell phones. And Mediacom, about a year or so ago, maybe 18 months, they installed TV service on the road. We don't have it because I don't want them digging through our yard and everything to get to us. But, so that's a little bit about that. And it's the city is encroaching on us. It's not anywhere near as country as it used to be. But the thing you got to be thinking about, you city folks, is life in the country is way different than life in the city. We got all kinds of creepy crawly critters out here. There's snakes all over the place, and with the geese and the guineas and the dogs and the cats. I don't see a snake right around the house too often anymore, but I still do, and I see them out in when I'm walking around in the woods and that. And squirrels, and country squirrels aren't the same as city squirrels, and raccoons and possums. I had a possum in one of the chicken runs a couple of weeks ago that I had to trap and get rid of. Get out of here, get out of the run. And those little armadillo things, those like little tanks running around, and man, they dig everything up. They're awful. And you can't shoot them because the bullets just bounce off their armor, so be careful with that. And the biggest thing that really stinks out here in the country are ticks. Man, they're just all over the place. We treat the dogs and the cats, every month, so they don't have them on them. Our barn cat had a tick in his ear just the other day that I had to pull off. And I get ticks on me, and my wife's got to pick them off of me. And back in the spring, I had a tick in a very inconvenient place, and this is a family channel again, so I'm not going to go into details, but it was in a place that you don't want to be getting a tick bite in. So that was fun having my wife pull it off down there. And there's a image in your brain that you'll never get rid of on the back side of the guys there. So, so if you live in New York City and you want to get out of the city, that's great. By all means, I recommend getting out of the city. But before you move to a place, you know, like Tennessee or even Florida, and that's where I recommend you go, down to Florida. Go from New York City down to Florida. But be really thinking about how different the lifestyle is. You know, it's just, you don't, you know, call Uber Eats that have them deliver your food. There's no DoorDash out here. You know, you're really on your own when you're out in the country, and you got to think twice about running an errand to a store or whatever, you know, in the middle of the evening and that, because everything's all closed up. And again, cell service, your internet could be spotty and iffy, and we're all trees here. You know, you can see all the trees behind me and everything. So Starlink won't work here because you got to really be able to see the sky. And the only place that's open to the sky is over the pond right there. And I can't put the Starlink in the middle of the pond. So, you know, be thinking about all those things. And if you do move somewhere, don't bring your values with you. That's the reason you're leaving that place, is you don't like the way that it is there anymore. You don't like what it's turned into. So don't try to turn into the place that you moved to what you left from, because that's that constant migration. And I mean, that is what our founding fathers intended for us, right? Is the, what's the phrase? Vote with your feet. You know, we're supposed to be the United States of America, and each state kind of governs themselves with a small, relatively weak federal government, which of course isn't true today. And that's why the people from California have said they've had enough, so they're moving, you know, out of the state to other places if they can find a U-Haul truck. People from New York and New York City are, you know, going to move down south to Florida or whatever. A lot of people moving to Florida, but, you know, now people are exiting Florida because it's getting, you know, it's changed from what they moved there. And, you know, I'm really hoping that we get to stay here where we are, but the growth is just frightening how quickly it's changing. There's a piece of property just down the road from us, you know, mile and a half or so down the road, and it's a little bit over 100 acres, and they're asking like $1.2 million for it. And that may sound like a bargain to you, because what is that, 10,000 an acre or so, 11,000? Doing the math in my head real quick. But you know, that's just, I mean, a piece of wooded land. I do believe it has a pond in the back there somewhere. I mean, it's over 100 acres. I don't remember the exact amount, but it's a little bit over, you know, 100 acres. And it's, yeah, again, it's like they're asking like $1.2 million for it. And that's literally, you know, just down the road from us. And what I mentioned there when I talked about our property, and we got it for like $48,000, less than $50,000. And today, we just renewed our house insurance, and it's valued at about $180,000 now. So we went from, we paid $48,000, and you know, from 1914 till today, and now it's valued at $180,000, which of course doesn't mean squat to us, because who cares what it's valued at? We're living here. But hey, they get to jack up our homeowners insurance, they get to jack up our property taxes. It's the privilege of living here, right? And we got to pay for it. So be thinking about all those things, because again, my goal is for you to enjoy your life on this planet, because life is short, and I want you to be finding your freedom, right? Freedom! Just don't move to Tennessee!